Why, hello everybody, and welcome back to another edition of Coffee Connections with your host, your Rocktioneer. Excited about today. I hope everyone's having a wonderful day. It's beautiful weather here in Atlanta. I mean, really been nice this week. And you know, middle of the afternoon, it's time for a cup of coffee, and this is our episode 3. Very excited to have Jen Hidinger-Kendrick, co-founder, community engagement director of Giving Kitchen. Now, Jen works full-time for the Giving Kitchen. She's been on the board and been in community involvement while providing a personal account of telling her story to both local and national audiences. She's, well, needless to say, it makes sense to have her here because she's an amazing spokesperson. And so it's a pleasure to have her. Jen, you may recognize, you're going to see her face, but like, I know this face because she was on Entrepreneur magazine in 2007. She was on the cover. And in 2017, the Atlanta Braves and Fox Sports South presented her with a Community Hero Award. And even take it further, she was involved with the organization when they won the James Beard Foundation's 2019 Humanitarian of the Year Award for the Giving Kitchen. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jen.
Well, hello. Thank you, Coffee Connection community. Really happy to be here. I really appreciate you, Seth.
Yeah, well, thanks so much. All right, first, before we get anywhere, we got to talk coffee.
Oh, yeah.
And I asked all my guests
It's about the size
their mug. Tell us about your mug.
This one you'll see is rather sizable. It's about the size of my face this morning. I needed an extra large cup, but this is a John Wayne mug. John Wayne is really important to our family. My husband's name is John Wayne. His father is a huge John Wayne fan and named him after the celebrity John Wayne. So we have a lot of John Wayne memorabilia here at the house, and that's the biggest coffee mug in our cupboard that I picked up this morning.
All right. Well, I mean, I'm just thinking shooting because John Wayne, you know, that's what's going on. Well, my mug's not as exciting. I mean, you know, as a business owner, I am my own boss.
Solid. Must have.
But in truth be told, I got that from one of my first employees. I'm pretty sure she got it at a Salvation Army, but you know.
Worth everything.
All right, you know, and now in regards to coffee, drip or French press?
Oh, drip. The French press gets me every time with all the granulars. I can never get the consistency right. It's always gritty. I'll choose drip over that.
Okay. Iced or hot?
Hot.
And what else would I want to know about? Oh, yeah. Dark? Medium? What's your roast?
Ooh, I'm definitely a less acidic individual. So give me something a bit more robust is what I like.
Okay. I'm not Hasidic. I'm Jewish, but not Hasidic. I heard acidic. You know, this is how my brain works.
Of course.
Will you please be so kind to tell us your story a little bit and talk about the Giving Kitchen and tell us a lot more about your mission?
Absolutely. So Giving Kitchen is a statewide agency. And what we do is we offer crisis assistance to food service workers. Plain and simple. We like to say that we have the ability to offer stability to food service workers. And it started based off the story of my late husband, Ryan Hidinger, who's a chef here in town. He and I actually moved to Atlanta in late 2004. He started working for one of the best restaurants in the city under Chef Ann Quatrano, who had some really amazing business sense and one of the best restaurants in many people's opinions here in Atlanta back then, and had the ability to really learn under her before he moved on and eventually found a home at Muss & Turner's, which is used to be kind of a local Smyrna sandwich shop turned full service business, full service restaurant. And he was there for many, many, many years before he was diagnosed with cancer. What happened though is in 2008, right before his 30th birthday, he was actually in a really severe car accident that took him out of work for a couple of months. And that time frame allowed him the opportunity to just kind of sit back and reflect on all of the things that he and I were able or wanted to accomplish by being a couple in this city of Atlanta. And one of those opportunities for us was a grassroots effort in building a community of our own. So as a chef, my background was in advertising and a little bit of marketing and retail. This was really a dream idea of his to start to host people in our home and create what we called Prelude to Staple House, which is an underground supper club. We started that in January of 2009 after he got better from that car accident and healed. And slowly but surely, this was an avenue for us to really get to know our city in a unique way, to get to understand and learn about our community in a unique way, and for them to get to know us and our style and philosophy on food and culture, et cetera. And it was a really great opportunity for us. And about a little while later, we decided that was really what we wanted to do as a couple in the city, was to join forces as a business partnership, he and I, outside of marriage, also as business. And we wanted to open up a restaurant of our own called Staple House. So we did not know the time frame in which that would happen, but that was something that we really looked forward to. And if you progress then a few years after that, it was December 21st of 2012, to be exact. Ryan wasn't feeling well for a week or two before that, and a series of tests led to an MRI on the 21st of December in 2012, and that was when the news of a stage 4 cancer diagnosis with a 6-month term was given to him. He was diagnosed with stage 4 gallbladder cancer. And it was really all that to say the reality of what happened after that was quite a life-changing moment and experience for us. It was truly the community's response, our family and friends in our community backing us every step of the way, that really inspired the idea of Giving Kitchen. By the time he was diagnosed to the time that there was an event put on to aid in his benefit and our benefit as a couple, it was about 3.5 weeks between his cancer diagnosis and this event. A community fundraiser was put on. Nearly 800 people showed up, 40 restaurants and bartenders, a live auction. And what was supposed to raise just $25,000 to help us kind of get through a hurdle ended up raising over $250,000 to aid in our benefit. My gosh. And so that really was kind of that light bulb, inspirational. There's nothing available to help a community or an industry in need. And that's really when founding board members and Ryan and I came together and said, we've got to do something bigger, something more. So that was what sparked the notion and the idea for Giving Kitchen.
Wow, that's amazing. And how quickly did you become a nonprofit then? So from that, I mean, did you put that money back into it right away? And
you know what, we became a nonprofit very quickly. It's actually a pretty funny and interesting question you asked, because I typically to gain nonprofit status is typically a feat that takes a couple of 18 months, a couple of years typically.
5 lawyers, 18 months,
exactly, and
250,000 in the bank.
Exactly. And it was really, again, a community effort. It was, the realization that there was something massively needed. We didn't understand what that impact would be yet, but we knew that there was something that was needed. So shockingly, in 3 months' time, we were given a 501c3 status. Thank you to one of our founding board members, who is a restaurant attorney and a nonprofit expert in that arena, who was able to facilitate that for us. But it was very quickly in 2013 that we were able to give away, the first pieces of financial assistance to individuals who were really affected by crisis. And it's been amazing to see the growth. I mean, I could talk for hours about what happened then and how we've grown. It's been remarkable.
Well, that's why it's Coffee Connections. We got you caffeinated so that we can shrink that hour into 20 minutes. No kidding. So building a board, I mean, like, I just imagine that when you started, I mean, just hearing the support you had to raise that much money that quickly. And then you go into build yourself into a nonprofit. How quickly was it to build a board? Did you have too many people? Did you have to, or is it?
That was really one of the most amazing things I've ever witnessed. Ryan and I at that time had nothing to do with putting together that initial fundraiser, of which we call Team Heidi, Heidi being short for our last name of Hidinger. And it was Ryan's former bosses really became some of his biggest mentors, and still to this day, like my brothers. It was really their guiding, expertise in having the right connections, where that initial board really just kind of flocked. Again, realizing that there were, food service industry leaders in our community who said, this is something I want to be a part of. I can see how this will impact a very large group of people. And that's amazing, because in 2013, this started off, Giving Kitchen really just started off as a nonprofit helping restaurant people only, and only inside this very small, like inside the perimeter of Atlanta. And now, 7 years later, we cover all of food service. So that includes members of the catering companies, food trucks, concession stands, and all full service or quick service restaurants throughout the entire state of Georgia. So we'll do that in 2 different ways today. One being through our financial assistance program, where we can cover your rent or mortgage and basic living expenses like your utilities. Or we offer a stability network program, which is essentially a connection to community resources when those food service workers need more than just financial assistance.
And I think that's a really important piece there, though, that it's not just helping the chefs out. It's not just the chefs. This is everyone. I mean, you're helping waitresses, waiters to the. I mean, I didn't know about the food trucks. That's interesting.
Yeah. It is all food service, and what's remarkable is Georgia alone has over 400, based off, this is kind of pre-COVID as far as like what we've been able to calculate for food service workers. But we have over 420,000 food service workers in the state of Georgia. So we are here to make sure that those individuals, whether they're impacted by a crisis like COVID-19, under a mandatory quarantine or otherwise, or any other illness or injury, or a housing disaster like a flood or a fire, or even the death of an immediate family member, they can come to us, fill out an application, seek out financial assistance, or again, a stability network resource from us as well. So
if they've lost their opportunity for revenue, they can come to you due to these different reasons.
They can, and I'm going to qualify that just by saying, if you are at work and slip and fall, and all of a sudden you're now out of work because you broke your leg for 6 weeks, yes, that is a qualifying circumstance for us. Mm-hmm. Regretfully, Giving Kitchen does not cover unemployment or underemployment, and that is something that we've been really adamant about since day one. So this is for 7 years, and even more so since COVID-19 hit. We really had to understand kind of our breaks and our capacity, and really define our clarity and purpose of mission in order to be able to help more people. And I'll make a note that, right when COVID hit is still today, it's still one of the most difficult, most challenging times for so many people. And those people within this food service establishment, it's been debilitating. It's been a major struggle, and we've seen it all the way through. I will say, if we were an organization that ultimately helped underemployment or unemployment from a financial standpoint, we would have had to have multi millions of dollars to be able to do that. And we would have failed miserably. The opportunity that we have, though, to be able to help those underemployed or unemployed, or again, any food service worker who's experiencing any of those qualifying crises, what we have done is built a stability network program. And that ended up happening a couple of years ago based off the need that we were seeing over the course of years. Many times, an individual working in a restaurant or wherever the capacity might be came to us and qualifying crisis, we would give them financial help. And then we realized a couple months later, they were suffering severely with mental health. So we found out that, being able to connect these individuals to mental health counselors or other service providers and specialty doctors, or housing stability programs, or legal services, things like that, that's all a part of our stability network program that we're able to connect those individuals to.
Yeah, that's amazing. Now, when COVID hit, though, I imagine that your phones probably just rang from everyone like, I'm out of work. What do I do? I'm calling Giving Kitchen. They can help. How did you deal with that as an organization?
Absolutely. Luckily we had our stability network program kind of in place. It's still certainly something that is growing massively all the time. But I will say, in that early March timeframe, we as an organization started to telework pretty immediately and successfully. in that first week when COVID really started to impact Georgia and we were starting to, facilitate those inquiries, we saw 20 times the amount of volume come our way. We saw more requests for help in that very first week in COVID than we did the entire year of 2018, if that can put it into perspective.
Wow, I believe it.
What we were able to do is develop specifically a COVID-19 resource page. So that does include local resources, regional and national resources. So similar, again, the mental health counseling all the way to a local service provider or a specialist for some sort of doctor. We've been able to put that on. It is our #1 most viewed webpage on our website with nearly 70,000 unique page views by far in our Giving Kitchen history. And so that has been a remarkable resource to those who are seeking guidance if they're unemployed, underemployed, or again, just really need some stability from a housing perspective, or even some free meals that are being offered around our community.
Now, just to give a little bit more perspective, before COVID, how many people were you able to help in a given year, roughly?
I will say I'm having to do some quick math in my head. So we will, yeah, I know, right? I will say, I'll give a few statistics. Since our inception, we have been able to award over $3.6 million in financial assistance, including COVID so far to date, in service of over 6,000 individuals. So that's through either financial assistance or through our Stability Network program. Since COVID specifically alone, so we're looking at like a March 10th approximately to maybe last week, we've been able to award over $355,000 in financial assistance. And I will say this, July 2020, this year alone, just in these first 7 months, is our 3rd largest year in financial assistance giving. And last year, we didn't see a month like that, but only twice. So the exponential factor is that it's just, we're seeing so many more. And the reality is too, is as our restaurants are reopening and we're going back to work, and
accordion, it's an accordion,
yep,
good.
There was a time where we saw the influx started to dip a bit because everybody was home and, our food service workers maybe weren't going to work. So less car accidents or less slip and falls or less house fires because they were there and aware of what's going on. And I mean, whatever the case may be, there was, even honestly, even funerals, it's devastating to hear. I mean, there were the uptick in the amount of illnesses and funerals are more than we've ever seen before, those two categories specifically. But we're also seeing the delayed or the deferred, funeral. So these are cases that are happening right now, but that an individual may not be able to bury a son, a daughter, a mother, a father until sometime next year. And these are, this is real and difficult.
Yeah, it's real, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, all right. So let's talk about fundraising here for a second, because, This organization, folks, if you're not aware, you probably aren't even aware that you've given money to this organization. Because if you eat out in Atlanta and you eat at good restaurants, I'm looking at you, Decatur, then you've probably have given a portion of your proceeds of your dining experience to Giving Kitchen without, there's a lot of promotions like that. Now, as times are changed, I'm curious, Jen, if you could talk a little bit about some of the fundraising you've done that has been successful. Then let's talk a little bit more about the challenges you're facing now with fundraising, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. Team Heidi, as I mentioned from the very beginning, was a fundraiser that was originally put on for Ryan and myself. And then every other year since then has been the largest annual fundraiser for Giving Kitchen, and brought in 1/3 of our funding for the year in years past. We are supported primarily by the food service industry. We are a nonprofit that works very intimately and closely with restaurants for participation in events, which we hold all year long. And we hold specialty partner fundraisers all year long. And in the same way, you mentioned Decatur and every other participating restaurant who has ever done anything for Giving Kitchen, whether it was, a certain percentage of proceeds for an evening or a percentage of a cocktail or whatever that might be. This is a really engaging way for our community to have skin in the game and be involved and be able to share the story, because that is our number one, that's our greatest gift. Share the story, let people know we're here. But what's happened since COVID is, the reality is our community is struggling. And we have made a commitment pretty early on that, we are going to be an organization that will be here for our community, thick and thin, but we are committed to not asking for a single dollar from our restaurant community for the remainder of this year. And that's really allowed us the opportunity to kind of take a different lens on the fundraisers or the events that we had through the end of the year. We've canceled a lot, just like every other business or organization, just because it's not safe or doesn't make sense for our community. And what we have seen, though, on the other side is a tremendous kind of unheard of response to that. Our community, far and wide, through corporations, family trust, individual giving has been absolutely outstanding. We have seen over 5,000 donors come to Giving Kitchen just since the beginning of March, since COVID hit. And 90% of those individuals are brand new donors. They heard about our story. They care about their food service workers. They understand that being able to give to a charitable organization that has a larger reach is really important. And that's really what we've been able to nurture, I think, really well since the beginning of COVID specifically.
How are you reaching them?
Thank you to people like you. And thank you. I mean, and truly, it's been remarkable to see, individual giving has completely changed the course of our our strategy moving forward. How do we engage these individuals and nurture the relationships? Because that is it's our highest priority, outside of following the mission of Giving Kitchen, which is to support our programs team in offering this crisis assistance. And we were seeing it's the individuals that have a birthday and they'll donate through Facebook or through Instagram. I mean, quite
can we dissect that a little bit, though? Because that's a big piece. I don't think. Well, I'm sure a lot of people realize it, but I'm personally seeing a trend that the birthday fundraisers they used to just raise a little bit, and now I'm seeing them raise a lot, like in the thousands of dollars in a lot of cases.
For sure.
So you're seeing that trend as well.
We absolutely are seeing that trend. People want to be connected to something, and especially right now. And I think they look at this as an opportunity to give back and obviously look far beyond themselves.
Absolutely. So you've got the live events are you planning on that again? I saw the date for January. Is that still kind of in the works?
It's on hold at the moment. It's unrealistic that we'll have a 1,200 person party under one roof. But that is something that we are actively engaging and talking with our immediate partners and our committee about on how we represent Giving Kitchen from an event standpoint for the remainder of the year and looking into the second quarter of next year.
Are you looking at doing virtual events at all?
Absolutely. There's always that possibility. We, earlier on, there was actually an event that we host for the past few years. In the past, it was called Giving Kitchen Supper Club. And it was an opportunity for us to, in the past, pre-COVID, to say, you know what, go out, join a community of people, fundraise on behalf of Giving Kitchen, cook together at your home, invite people over, and share the story of Giving Kitchen and, put up a donate page and raise some money. And we ended up taking that off the table for this year and ended up doing a Giving Kitchen virtual table. And essentially the same idea. If you're hosting an event, which of course a lot of our restaurant partners were already doing, Zoom, wine happy hours or whatever that might be. Yeah. And we said, if you're willing to share Giving Kitchen story, fantastic. It's things like that are wonderful opportunities. I think our biggest champions, though, right now are, it's a lot of the cause marketing. It's a lot of our partners out there who are producing beers for Giving Kitchen or ice cream for Giving Kitchen or wine and spirits and all of those things that where proceeds go directly to us. So we truly are just counting on those individuals in that capacity to help share the word.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So there's a lot going on, and you all are continuing moving forward and that's just amazing. Is there anything else you want to share with all of our viewers here?
Yes, please visit givingkitchen.org. That is our website. I will say too that we also have an app. So if you know a food service worker who needs help, or if you are a food service worker who needs help, you are in crisis, you are suffering from an illness, an injury, the death of a family member, or a housing disaster, please seek help from Giving Kitchen. You can do it very easily on your app or at givingkitchen.org. Of course, fundraising for us is so valuable. It continues to allow us to do the work that we do and stay operational. But the biggest gift, as you heard me say earlier, is just to please share the word.
That's awesome. And you said app, which gives me the idea of an appetite. So
I like it.
Well, I want to first we'll end by saying thank you so much for all the work you've done. Your story, there's such a big takeaway from it, and I hope that people, they get the mission and understand all of that. But also, when something happens, you gotta make the best of situations, and it's not always the best for yourself, but you can take a situation and make the best for others, which you've really clearly done here. It's super impressive. I got to tell you, everyone I've ever came encounter with that is involved with Giving Kitchen are just amazing people. So the organization is surrounded by such wonderful people, and I've met people that have been able to be a benefit from your awards, and they're super appreciative. So thank you so much for what you do. Now I close every show with our guests to be able to pick one of our future guests. So do you have any recommendations for a future guest here on Coffee Connections?
I do. I'm gonna actually mention two, and for a couple of touch point reasons. I'm a new mom. I have a 6-month-old, and
congrats.
I'm attuned to the reality of, Giving Kitchen is there to help the members of our food service community, but our reach and our impact goes much, much further than just that individual. Nearly 50% of the households and the individuals that we help have other members and other family members in their household. And even more so than that, they have at least one child. I think our statistic is actually 2.1, interestingly enough, of children in the households that we help. So that's extremely important to me. So in regards to sharing some praise for some other really amazing work that's being done in our community. Kate's Club is a really amazing nonprofit that assists families and children through the process of really major loss in their lives through therapy and alternative activities. Kate Atwood is the founding member of that. Based off her story, she's really a powerful human, and Kate's Club is doing really amazing work. And I'm going to mention the second one, which is something that we've turned to quite regularly as a partner through Giving Kitchen. And I've said it a lot, through mental health counseling and how vital and important that is. Not only does Giving Kitchen offer free suicide prevention training for any food service worker in America. All you have to do is go to Giving Kitchen's website if you want to take that. It's called QPR, Question, Persuade, Refer training. It's a 45-minute online training. We will take care of the cost for that if you're a food service worker. But in regards to a partnership here locally is the Metropolitan Counseling Services and offering statewide telehealth services to food service workers, and specifically at nearly no cost through quarantine. If you're coming to us for help, we can give you that resource.
That's amazing. Mental health is key. I'm so glad that it's sad how it's come to become part of conversation, but my God, it's about time people start talking about mental health. I mean, look, people spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars going to the gym to work their muscles, but then they don't spend the money or the time to work their mental muscle, and that's the muscle we got to deal with every day. So I commend you for that, because it's so important. It
is. We believe so as well.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. Folks, we'll be back next week. You can check yourrockshineer.com. There's a Coffee Connections page for all the past episodes, as well as who's coming up. Jen, have a wonderful rest of your week. Thank you for joining us here.
You as well. Thank you, Seth. I appreciate it.